Guys, it is Thursday, December 15th, and we're going to be looking at NQ over the lunch period. You can get a hold of me on Twitter at RedBenTrader, and then the futures trading room I trade in is called the Trade and Perform Room. We're currently closed to new members, but my coach Simon is starting a waiting list. We don't want it to get too big. We'd rather it be quality over quantity. So starting next year, he said he'll reevaluate and see if he can take a few more members. But for now, it's close. But he's taking a waiting list. So just you can contact him at tradeandperform@gmail.com. Let him know that you heard about the room through me, and he'll add you to the waiting list to get a 5-day free pass. So we are, like I said, looking at NQ. I'm actually long and considering bailing. I don't want to give back too much on this. I've already gotten filled twice. I actually added to this trade. I got long first here, and then added to it, and then I got one off, and then added to it here and got another one off. I've actually still got two, and so I really don't want to let it draw down too far. Over lunch on a trend day down, it's very normal for it to reverse and go higher for a little bit, and so that's kind of what I was expecting here. And they one ticked the low, and then bounced with a heavy volume and aggression here. And so that's what got me long initially. We had all these pink bars indicating that sellers were just kind of giving up, which is not always a great sign. That's not usually what you see at a low. But you never know. And today's been a little bit strange price action wise. It's just basically holiday trading. But if you look at the day so far, we've just been, it's pretty much been selling only, and then followed by just a little bit of consolidation. This one was a little tricky because it looked like it might be reversing here, and then it took out that low and did it one more time. So if you shorted, you could have gotten stopped out here, and then you definitely got stopped on. I was long and I got some, and I got stopped on a runner, but it did set up short here. And then it's been sideways basically since 11 Eastern, so which on the algo would be noon. So I might get trailed out here. We'll see. It definitely looks like the aggression has calmed down on the buy side for a minute there. It looked like they were going to lift it. But the price action is just so slow. It's hard to put a good read on it. And I hate giving back. I'll be honest. It's not a good feeling to have like a trade that was up $1,000 and then go back to break even. It's never fun. But you have to decide ahead of time, before you even get into the trade, whether or not this is a spot where you want to hold runners or where you just want to try to target 10 or 20 points. And it's a little frustrating for me because I earlier today I thought I might have gotten a low and held runners, and that one got stopped out. And so if these runners end up stopping as well, it'll be, like I said, it's my own personal demons, being able to accept the risk that I decided to take can be difficult, and that you just kind of have to move on and take the next trade, and the hard part is not letting it influence your next trade. But yeah, I took the higher risk choice of adding to the trade here, and I could have just exited everything, I suppose, on this lift. That wouldn't have been wrong considering I've got more risk on, and so it means that my runners will cost me more if they do trail out. So I'll have to talk to my coach about how to handle that, because it's a new idea. Like, scaling into a winning trade is an advanced technique. It's something that's new to my game, and it's possible that the optimal solution there is actually to add to the trade and then exit all when that target hits, rather than, because what I'm essentially doing is when I got into here, I got out one and got out one, and then the two here technically just run, and so it could pay you, it could pay off really well if this is the low of the morning, and we get a little lift over the lunch break. Like it has the potential for being a really good outcome, but what I want to know is, taking over 1,000 trade setups, how often are you making enough on those runners to make up for the times when two contracts stop out, since technically I'm holding runner here, and then as of right now holding runners here. So it's just, yeah, it just gets complicated because your risk increases when you add to the trade. And so it's quite possible that the right solution is, if you're going to hold a runner here and you add here, that you should take this trade off completely up here when you break that apex, and then that way you only have one rather than two contracts drawing down on you when it stops out the runner. But like I hadn't thought it through. Yeah, if they don't lift this bar, it's likely done, unfortunately. I mean, it would be a paper cut, but it's just frustrating because at one point I was up like $1,200, and that's a pretty good day for me, let alone a pretty good trade. So, but I didn't really feel like I was being greedy. I thought I had a target up here that was reasonable, but I'm learning about how to use. Oh yeah, they're probably gonna get me. I'm learning about how to use these new indicators, these divergence indicators, which are black and green dots. Black on the sell side. I don't see any green ones right now, but it's like a dot inside the bar. And I'm finding that they become pretty significant support and resistance. And they're hard. It's hard to break through them on the first or second try. They're gonna get me. Damn, that sucks. Come on, lift it. It's basically my last chance. Otherwise, I really should be out of this trade. Oh, that stinks.
Order canceled.
All right, they got me. So in that case, the order canceled. The canceled order was actually my limit order because it hit my stop. So I use brackets. So I figured since they got under this one, it's probably done. It could technically re-trigger long at 82.25. We'll see. It's so slow that it's really difficult to get a reversal, or at least to convince me that we're getting a reversal. I've got the 16 tick over here, which is just a faster. It's still NQ, but it only takes 16 ticks to print a Renko bar. When it's this slow, you can use the 16 tick as like, you don't really want to trade this. You can trade it, like the patterns still work, like orange bar following pink bar is still kind of work, but you can see like the traps work better than that, like when you get behind it and then you come back at it, or like this one, see how this one trapped here, but in that same spot you didn't get a trap on the 24 tick. You didn't have one of these triangles here, but yet it did lift like a good 20 points. So if it's a really high odds trade, it can still work, but if you have the direction wrong on the 16 tick, you get murdered. So you have to be really skilled at knowing what conditions you need to get long or to get short, and you have to like be really good with location, because you don't want to take every single trade. You only want to take them when they set up in the right location. But it can definitely be used for like to help me get reads on what the like what the market's trying to do. Um, and oftentimes you'll see attempts at like a reversal first on this smaller time frame, and you'll see the traders getting trapped um, will occur early. Um, if you look at the volume waves here, these are cumulative like Weiss waves, cumulative volume Weiss waves. When you have a bigger Weiss, so these are the green ones are the up waves, and the gray ones are the down waves. So when you have like a dominant Weiss wave here, going in the opposite direction, so you're not at the high, right? But yet you've got a big volume building here. Chances are the next couple waves will be like those setups will be good. So like you can even do this like here. If you look at this, so that is right here. Okay, so this is the wave on the 16 tick that was dominant. So now signs of aggression to the upside are going to start paying. See that? So like purple bar star, that's what got me to add. Is I was confident taking this purple bar star because I knew that on the smaller time frame we had a dominant wave back here. And so as long as I'm making higher lows and higher highs, there's a chance that's been like that's a new impulse wave basically. But in this case what they did was they just tested above this old high and they stomped it. Right now this dominant wave to the downside, it's at the low. So like you don't really want to be taking shorts in the hole at the low. Like that's not usually a good idea. But it might keep me from buying this one. Like you don't want to fight it either. But like if this was if this closed as a trap back in, I might skip it because I've got a dominant wave down here that suggests the sellers are in control at the moment. You can just look back and see that like there haven't been any waves that big. So it's definitely dominant. So you might want to skip the longs on the higher time frame now because that lower time frame is gonna, well, it might not be reliable enough to take every trade. The times that it does like those, the waves require more than just like 2 or 3 bars to print, right? Like this is like the entire section here. So even though it's a smaller time frame, it's like it's looking at this wave versus this wave versus this wave versus this wave, right? They're more than one bar. So it'll give me a hint as to what's happening a little earlier than I might get it on the bigger time frame. So I'll still need the bigger time frame to set up to get me the trade, but I can kind of get an early warning that there might be something, there might be a potential trade. I can show you some other spots where that worked, but it's just another tool. But honestly, when it's this slow, you honestly could trade the 16 reasonably, as long as you knew what direction to go. And that shouldn't be that. I mean, it depends. Some people are better at reading the reading direction than others. Like it does take practice to sort of know when you're fighting momentum versus when you're riding momentum. If there's no momentum, you can take trades on both sides. But like earlier today, there were a lot of spots where you really would not have wanted to be long. Because it was just all selling. So yeah, so this is a good example. So this is a trade I'm skipping because of this dominant sell wave. We'll see if that turns out to be smart or not. But what that suggests to me is that this wave here, now you can see it now here too, right? Now it's obvious on the 24, but we knew it way earlier on the 16. But now that you've gotten that up bar here, you can see that the wave ends, but yet it's much bigger than the other ones. This up bar was way back here, and so we knew much earlier that this was probably going to be a dominant wave. Now, they will sometimes do like a 50% retrace of that wave, but the chances that we're just going to break over the high, it's pretty hard. You'd have to trap someone down here, which did not happen, because the purple bar is just indicating that buyers are pulling their orders off the order book, and then the star says they're aggressively buying. And so usually that combination in that order is a pretty strong signal of aggression, because like here the buyers were just giving up, and then suddenly high volume aggressive buyer comes in here, so that one looked good, but that's because look at what was happening before that. Like the sellers were like they weren't very strong, right? They didn't have very much volume, and then we had it's also a higher low. Or no, I'm sorry, it was a divergent low. This one, right? Was this a higher low? Hard to tell. Maybe it was a higher low. I think it's a higher low, slightly higher low from here, right? Whereas now it's actually a lower low, and there's no divergence, and all the volume was to the downside. So, yeah, you're fighting momentum. It doesn't mean it can't work. It's just you're not gonna get the big trades. Like you're gonna be fighting for 10 points on NQ. And this same concept works on the S2. So like you could use the 5 tick and then compare it, like or like if you're normally trading I've got too many here, hold on. Way too many things going on there. So if you're looking at the 5 tick, you could see here that that's a dominant wave down, right? Compared to all the rest of them, I think. Yeah, it's probably bigger than this one. Ooh, it's pretty close. It's not always the same. Oh, I see. I can't see the whole thing. That's why. I've got it too small. Come on. Yeah, dominant wave. See that? It got a little bit higher than the one before. So, dominant wave down on NQ or on ES as well. Man, this is there. Okay. So you would expect that's the 5 tick, right? So now if I go to the 6 tick, or even the 8 tick, setups here to the long side may bust, right? These aggressive buyers are not necessarily going to get any follow through because they're fighting a big wave. Here, let me check the 8 tick. The 8 tick had no setup yet. But and yeah, you do have a potential trap though, if they could close it up here, and I would skip it. We also have a bunch of delta up there, and that's often a problem. So I would say skip. And again, how aggressive you want to be is kind of a personal choice. It's a question of like how much pain can you take. I think the problem is when you start taking multiple stops in a row, yeah, you start to it can psychologically like throw you off your game. You're gonna stop. You're gonna miss the trades you want to take. You're gonna like spook yourself out, or you're gonna get ultra aggressive. Like one way or another, you're gonna start making mistakes. Okay, so I do have a support down here. It's interesting. Oh, is it from way up there? Yeah, I see. It's a box from the higher time frame. Okay. What does the higher time frame look like? Let's just check. Yeah, so that was from like days ago. Yeah. So this is the higher time frame where I find most of my levels. And we're just straight down on that higher time frame. There's just no end in sight. Now they did put aggressive sellers in here, and they're trying to do it again. But look at how deep we are on this volume zone oscillator. It's like the deepest it's been for days. So there's just no buyers at all. It's just all selling. And so we did make a new low again. But we're coming out of lunch now, so it's not unusual for trending down to resume. We'll see. I'm definitely glad I didn't take that trade though. That long would have sucked. I'm assuming it's gonna stop. It looks like it would stop at the low day. Not yet. It didn't stop yet. Looks like it's going to though. They're trying to lift it. What we really want to see is like some capitulation. That would be ideal. Like you don't really want to be picking off lows when they're just like, what am I trying to say? Like if there's no aggressive sellers, like this guy's an aggressive seller. So getting underneath him and then going back up above is really that's the way you turn a market. I've shown it on some of my other videos as well, but like once the sellers start getting stopped out, like see how this guy got stopped out here, right? We got behind him. He was off sides for a minute. That level becomes important. All right, so we could cinch this up to be like way up here, like right about there. Like I'm looking at like where the volume is on this wick is like right about there, and so that becomes resistance. See that? It becomes an important spot for sellers to hold. If they can't hold that, that's when markets flip. So if we can get over that now, and then here they did the same thing, right? The buyers got off sides and then came back in. So this becomes a very important spot to hold, and when they can't hold it, it selling can resume. Those little trap back in trades, those where you travel behind and then go, like this is how you usually see the low, is a trap underneath the low and then an aggressive buyer coming back. That would make a good low, right? Otherwise, you have to get under him again, and then you'd have to leave him behind. Like in other words, you'd have to make a higher low and a higher high. And so that's why I thought it was pretty safe, I guess, to add to my order, to add to my long here, because what it looked like to me is we made a lower low, we trap back in, and now we're making higher lows and higher highs. And so that is what the low usually looks like. They just ran in to this sell block here, or whatever you want to call it, and everybody shorted it. And so now we need to now we made a new low, right? But notice volume did not make as much a dominant wave there. So that this compared to this is what I'm saying. So this wave here was the dominant one, yet we made a lower low with less volume. So that is divergence, volume divergence. And sometimes that's a sign that seller, like price is basically like oversold, that you don't actually have more sellers. They're selling despite the value being, like fair value is actually higher, but they're selling it anyway. Like there's just a lack of buyers. And so it doesn't mean it's going to go higher, but if you can get some buyers to show up, it would be normal for it to retrace that wave. So get back up to 74.50 up here is probably more like what fair value is. So it's very possible that we could get a wave up now, and that this coming all the way up here and breaking over that could start a bounce. Otherwise it's short. It's going lower unless they can do that. So there's not a lot to do, unfortunately. You could technically have shorted the breakdown when I saw that the long wasn't going to work, but it would only be a scalp because you got the low of day. You know, it's pretty tough to short the low of day and then hold. Like how deep do you really think it's going to go is the question, you know. And then as soon as I would have saw the divergent volume wave here, I'd be giving up on the short. But see, the 16 tick did set up triangle up, pink bar, star down with volume. That would be a valid sell for sure. Yep. Nice. Yep. Makes sense. I like it. Yeah, I wasn't watching the 16 tick, but that was a valid short for sure. And like I said, it does make sense because the long was unlikely to work, and so all they had to do is break that low, and you get some capitulation. But this is just one of those days where if you're long only, like there's just not a lot to do. Um, but if you are capable of flipping back and forth without throwing off your game, because the problem with flipping back and forth for most people is when you can look for short or long, you'll get biased and you'll miss like the big moves. It's very hard to stay neutral when you can take the trade in either direction. You'd think it'd be the opposite, but it's actually not. Like when you know that you can have a setup in either direction, we tend to misread the market. But it would, on days like today, you need to know that if you're long only, you just don't trade. Like that's on a day like this, right? There's just nothing to do if you're only long. And so when it's a trend day, it's not all that difficult. Like then you can just pick short and just be short only. You know, that'll work great. But on like a day where it's balanced or whatever, it can be very tricky to flip back and forth and catch all the trades. Like in retrospect, it doesn't look that hard, but in reality, like knowing what you're looking for where just becomes a lot more complicated. But yeah, on a trend day, it's highly it's smart to go with the momentum for sure. Like fading a trend day is rarely a good idea. The one pattern that we do see on the indexes is that on trend day down, they tend to flip it over lunchtime and then continue lower after lunch. And then same thing. Actually, trend day up can do the same thing in reverse. That I've seen that too. We haven't had that many trend day ups this year, but yeah, that's just a weird. I don't know what that phenomenon's about, but I've seen it many times. Here's another short. Man, that was quick. Pink bar star with the volume. And that's good on the lower highs. The volume is a positive thing because you're trending down, so you want to see them push with more volume. Like if you're making lower lows and you get the high volume sign to the upside, that's probably bad. You don't really want to be fighting with high. You shouldn't need a lot of volume. If you're breaking the trend, if you're fading, you don't want to see all that volume coming in right at the low. Preferably you'd want to see it on a higher low. And so on the way down, it's exactly the opposite. Like you don't need the volume up here. See how that when they do put volume in at an apex, it ends up getting they trade behind it, and then they can continue. So once you get lower highs, now you don't necessarily need to trade behind them all the time. It's just a weird thing with volume. It's very different when it's trending. Volume on the side with the trend is has a very different meaning than volume against the trend. Because you have to remember that in a way, volume is like a measure of how much energy is being used. It's like how many. It's truly like how many contracts occurred, right? So if you have a strong downtrend and then you get a big volume up bar, what that's basically saying is it took a ton of energy just to close that bar bullish, right? So it's not really what you want to see if you're looking for a reversal. But on the other side, if you're trending down and they're making lower highs and you get more and more volume in there, like the momentum is to the downside, so that bigger volume is going to result in a flush. It's weird because it's like it's kind of bad if you always think like volume equals good, like you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. It's like I think when people start learning trend following strategies, usually they're taught that like more volume is a good thing, but it's like that's only the case if it's with the trend. Yeah, and yeah, like I think it's probably because like you know it's complicated and it always is if you're a newer trader, it's a lot easier to like learn things like simplified. And if you only trend trade, then yeah, like more volume on the breakout is certainly a good sign, and a lack of volume on a breakout is probably a sign that the breakout will fail. But it's just what they don't tell you is that volume is it's dependent on like whether or not it's aggressive buying or aggressive selling. It's just so much more complicated than that. And yeah, I mean I think it's one of the reasons usually the trend trading is one of the first things that people learn is because it's relatively simple. But once you start considering fading trends, like you can't use those same rules just in like you can't assume that all those things are still true. Okay, is this a dominant wave? No, they still have not overcome that bigger wave. So this could reverse. This might be our capitulation finally. Wouldn't that be nice? So they're trying. Man, what a down day. So we've taken out the low of the week. We've taken out December lows. We're back into the single prints from November 10th. Yeah, that's a deep dive. That's a very deep dive. But if you look at ES, like look at the volume here on the way down. See how it's just dying off, right? So eventually here they're gonna find a low. But I mean we're down almost 3%. It's pretty significant. We really want to see this volume zone oscillator stay inside the green. If it keeps dipping underneath here, chances are sellers have full control. So we need it to do this. See how when it's back inside there, it has a chance to do this. See that? So we want it out of this black area. But you can see how far we are in the 16 tick. Like that's a lot to ask on that. 16 ticks suggests we're probably going to need another dip that gets bought. So you don't see how far we've gone. Again, it means there's a lot of volume in there to the upside, and yet look what they get. You know, they didn't even get a 50% retrace of this down wave, yet they've pulled that volume wave oscillator all the way back almost to midpoint. It's like it's not what you expect if it's the low. I mean, yeah, we'll see, but my guess is that they're going to run out of steam, and then they're going to need a new low. Could be a higher low, though. But I'd prefer a divergent low. That'd be better. The MACD histogram does have divergence. So, and that's not necessarily a trade entry, but it's a nice filter to keep me from shorting in the hole. Like it would make me not want to short this. Like I don't want to short into the divergence. So slow. But like you'd expect these big dives, like you'd expect the speed to increase a bit. You'd think they'd like, I don't know, like some big institution would start hitting it. But it's like they don't go anywhere. Like they drop and then they just like sizzle and then drop some more. So that's the green is a sign of volume shift, and then but again high volume on that, so I don't like it. Now if they get under it and come back through it, that's probably a good sign for buyers. But just seeing them shift volume up and they had to use a bunch of volume to do it, it's not enough for me to think, oh, they're just going to lift it here. And again, look, one more bar up and they're going to like peak out this indicator. So doesn't mean they can't do it, but it's going to take a lot of energy to go any higher than that. And then the arrow is an indication of like a attempted momentum shift. It's not necessarily a buy. They work better as like if they're out of position, if they're in the wrong place, and then you trap behind them. It works. That's the most reliable entry with those arrows. But it is it can sometimes be the edge. It's not necessarily a buy all by itself. But what you really want, if you can print one of those arrows and then you can go a little lower and then come back and reclaim it, that can produce explosive moves. I'm sure I can find one back here somewhere. Oh, they did get all the way across the indicator on the 16 tick. Interesting. But you can see on the 24 you didn't even get 10 points since that signal. I just can't believe how slow it is. I guess it really is holiday trading. Everybody's gone for Christmas and all that. Too bad. Yeah, so it looks like this is going to fail. That would be my guess. There's another short entry if you want it. It's deep. And you're trading into divergence. Oh, but if we get above him, this guy could get trapped. So I'll wait. Let's see if we can trap him. He's positioned really low. Let's see if we can trap him. What I prefer is just to go like one or two more candles down and then rip and leave him behind. That would be perfect. But that is a sign of aggression, like 3 different signs of aggression. So it's going to be tough. It's interesting. I don't know how often these black dots occur on purple bars. I actually just realized I don't think I've seen that before. I wonder if that makes them especially vulnerable. It could. It kind of makes sense. That's something that might be worth looking into. Huh. I'm not sure. You definitely don't see it very often. Oh, here was one here. That one was the high, so maybe not. Man, oh man. It's days like this where I wish I would have just like taken my first short and just left it running and like went back to bed, because it's like there's so little to do. I'm trying to scalp these little 10 and 20 point moves, and it's like it's so much work. Whereas like there've been plenty of short signals and like literally any of them you could have just held it. Oh, you were short? Or, oh, I see. Near the low. You got in near the low. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, now I see it. Yep. Well, that's why I felt like I had to hold runners there, because I thought there was a good chance that might have been the low. You know, I mean, that's it's just the risk we take. You know, you're either gonna give back, like I did, or you're gonna wish that you were in it. And yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to tell. You know, it's like, is this the one I should hold or not? And like, my results say I probably didn't pick the right spots, but it's there's been so many times where I haven't held them, and they run like that, and it's just like, I just gotta hold it. I just gotta learn to hold it, you know. And while it's sometimes gonna cost you, it's yeah, it hurts to not be in those trades. Wow, they actually saved this. Look at that. I did not see that coming. They did beat this guy. Wow. Let's see if they set me up down here. This still is not at a low inside of the green area. I don't like that. Neither is this really. I think this is just like an oversold bounce. I don't think this goes anywhere. I'm just not confident at all with any longs in this price action. But eventually the sellers are just going to be done. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Eventually they're going to be done. And then hopefully it'll start opening up again. Like, I don't even need to catch the low. I just want to see it move. You know, somewhere other than straight down. Like, I need to get behind some of these apexes. So a bounce would be great. Even if it's not the low, it's okay. I just want it to open up a bit. We're probably coming back to this previous developing VPOC, if I had to guess. That's usually their target, is one of these little flat areas of that dashed line. So here, here, or here is usually where they're trying to get, because that's where all the volume was. Like, they don't always make it. See that? But that's usually where they're trying to get. Where was the volume on this? Way up high? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. That's where they're trying to get. And it looks like they're not going to do it. So yeah, they want to get here. So this guy had all the volume. But this one had all the aggression. I think that's holding it down. So some aggressive seller came in, trapped this guy, and then they put a bunch of volume in. So that looks like a valid breakout, you know. Big volume building as you break down. It's going to be pretty hard to break over that, you'd think. Unless they trap somebody down here, which has not happened. Except for maybe this guy. If they can hold this, maybe it does work. But they really got to hold this low now, which is, I feel like that's a lot to ask. Pink bar star, that's technically a short. Okay, they got to hold this, otherwise it's going lower. We get another sign of aggression here in 24 tech. Mm-hmm. Usually this drop chop usually results in continuation. This is like what they call a dreaded H, right? Where you get a drop and then they bounce and then they chop off the low. It's usually bearish. And yeah, the 16 tick once again did signal short. I didn't like trading into this guy. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I know star up followed by yellow square is a pretty good short, but I wonder if triangle up might be too on a trend day. We'll have to look at that. See, triangle up, yellow box. Interesting. I don't know. Kind of makes sense that it would be. They do not want to give this up. So that's your resistance. So this arrow here, that the top of that, this is what really needs to get broken for it to. Oh, there's another one over here. For it, yeah, we have to trap them below and then break back above. I don't know if it's this one or this one. Oh, they're gonna try. They're holding it. That's tempting, honestly. They're holding that level. Ugh, I just hate the location sucks. It's right on the voodoo range level, but I don't like how they traded below and then just bounced a little bit, and now they're basically chopping. But look, we got that dominant wave up, right? So it means that if we can get like an aggressive signal here to the upside, it might actually be worth buying. I wish they'd do it down here. Like I want them to drop it and then trap underneath that and come back with like a star but no volume. That would be perfect. But yeah, it would be much better if they took this low out and we could find out if there's buyers down there. That would be wonderful. Oh look, another box with a star. See, but this one's star up, box down. That's usually short. That's usually a short. The 16 tick's actually working to the downside. That's cool. Looks like when it's one directional like that, like it is today, like you could technically just trade the 16. That's kind of neat. That's not something I usually do. It's usually way too fast. But you'd also have to be getting out quickly. You'd have to take your profits of like 7-8 points. Unless it's set up here too. But yeah, star up followed by box down, or else star down followed by box up should get as long as you're going with the trend, it should get a continuation. Because you're basically trapping that star. That's basically what's happening. But look how hard they're having to work for just these couple extra ticks. That's uncharacteristic of heavy trend down. Like, had I shorted that, would I even be comfortable, or would I be like looking for the exit? Like, okay, they're coming into this low. Come on, take the low. No dominant wave here, so that it would be another divergent wave down. But we really needed to break the low, though. Come on. No. Come back. Purple bar. If this is a star, it's probably good to go. I guess I might as well try it. It's going the opposite direction from what I really want, though. I really wanted it to break that low. It's just strange that they can't do it. Might be able to get a little scalp long here because they're just struggling to get it any lower.
Order filled.
Okay, we'll go ahead and give it a try. I'm just gonna put the stop like under the low. It might stop. It's pretty aggressive. I just want to see if I can get like 8 to 10 points here. That might just immediately stop. That would suck. But we had a dominant wave up, and then purple bar star. It did have a lot of volume though, so it could be a problem. But it's technically a higher low, so I let it. I figured it's okay. But the low really should be broken. I'm just reading the price action and saying, hey, why aren't they breaking this low? And then someone aggressively comes in here and tries to push us higher. It's like it, and this guy should have really had an easy time breaking down. So they might have just juked me, and if that's the case, that's okay. That's not what you want to see. We got to beat that guy right away. Otherwise, this is not going to work. Because there's more buyers and sellers in this bar, yet they closed it bearish. That's what that dot means. That could be a problem if we can't break him. We got to break right over this guy. And I don't know if this is going to hold. It might. This white line, 432 or so, might be a really strong resistance now. Oh, nice. Okay. So shifted volume up after the divergent bar. That's good. That might actually trap him. This could actually work. On the 24 tick, we technically don't have an entry, so that's okay. It just means I gotta be nimble with the exit. Like it's weird to me they're getting a pink bar here. Like that means sellers are giving up. It's just strange. Like why would they give up into the low a day? Like it's really weird. We saw this earlier too. It's very unusual. Just strange price action. It's almost like there's someone fishing for the bottom. Like they're selling, and then as soon as they see someone buy, they just they give up, and then they see if they can get it a little higher, and then they sell some more. That's almost what it's saying to me is like they don't want to sell the low, but they have more to sell, so they're buying it up and then pulling their orders when it comes back into it, hoping that someone else follows through and pushes it higher, perhaps so they can sell it at a higher price. All I'm saying is it doesn't. It's not what a real low of day action usually looks like. It's what like a temporary low usually looks like. They're gonna want to re-auction this eventually, I would think. Hopefully not right away. So slow makes it hard to hold your trade. Okay, a star here would be great, but they have to close it bullish for that to happen. That would be a good sign. And I do think we could retrace here. It's interesting that this volume zone oscillator on the smaller time frame is like bullish. Oh. So much for the star. And unfortunately, if they stop me out and then come right back, I'm going to have to take it again. Because that'd be a low day trap. So. But I knew that going into it. I knew that this was the aggressive move. Ugh.
Order canceled.
Gross. Alright. They got me. Okay, so now if they come back and close up here, I'm gonna have to get in it again at 28.50. Which that's just the price you pay for being aggressive and not waiting for the more reliable entry. Because this is by far the more reliable entry is at 28.50. Because they like one ticked the low and then reversed like that. That works often for 10 points. But they gotta close this bar bullish for that to be valid. You can see they did it on the 16 tick, but yeah, I guess maybe the thing to think about is that the 16 tick entries should only be taken in the direction of the trend. that's probably the lesson to learn there, because it did not trigger on the 24. Okay, looks like they're gonna get me in. Not yet.
Order filled.
Okay, so filled again. Long stop low day. If this one fails, I'll be red on the day, which would suck. So, but it's you just got to take the trades, you know. That's all you got. You got to either the trade I could have skipped was this one. I got a little bit antsy there and got a little too aggressive, but that's okay. As long as it doesn't keep you from taking the high odds trades, which is this one. And if the high odds trade fails, it's like that's just life. Sometimes that's how it goes. But more often than not, this is going to create some kind of a lift. The problem is we've got this resistance here. It really does need to break over that. And then it could squeeze if it does. And that would certainly be cool. Well, this is these are still pink. I don't understand how they're getting these pink bars in at the low. It's really weird. They're trying. It might stop. there's just not a lot of follow through. Have we had a short stop on the 16 tick? This one worked. Star square worked. Yeah. Pink bar, star, stopped. Okay, there has been a stop. Good. Okay. Because that might be another way to filter is wait for that stop with the trend on the smaller time frame before you fight the trend. See, now I bet the longs will start to work. If that's the case, it would mean that the longs might start working. Assuming we go higher than this. And that resistance is definitely tough. But I do kind of think if we break through it, we might get a little bit of squeeze action. And I did take this with full size, so because it's a high odds trade. It works a lot. Yeah, we just got it. We just have to push through here. One more closed bull bar, and we should be good. Should easily get 10 to 20 points. Come on. I could have technically added to the trade on the dip. Oh, almost. Come on. 3 ticks away from getting filled on my first exit.
Order
There we
canceled.
go. Okay, got my first one. Good. Risk off. We'll let the other one go. We'll see where this goes. All right. So now even if it came all the way back, I'm only gonna, it'll be a small loss then. Like, but I got most of my risk off the trade. So now I can just kind of see where this will take me. And like I said, I would not be shocked if this squeezed a little bit. It makes sense. We'll see. But with the pink bars at the low, it may need to pull back a bit. So I wouldn't want to be getting in here. If you miss this one, you have to wait for that pullback and see if they make like a higher low with a sign of aggression. That might work, but I don't think I'd be confident enough to enter long any like up here. Just because the pink, purple, pink like that, like those are generally retraced eventually. But like I said, today's been weird, so I don't know. Maybe not today. So if this closes bullish without fully retracing this pink bar, that's a sign we're probably going higher, by the way. Just like this bull bar didn't retrace this pink bar. Generally, that means you're going to print another one higher. And like this pink bar didn't get retraced, see that? And then they go higher. That's pretty normal. And see how this purple one didn't get retraced, so they went lower. Because they're just inverse. This purple one didn't get retraced, it goes lower. Okay, so now this guy right here, That becomes a really important spot to hold because we've gotten behind him and then left him behind. See that? And so if we continue higher, this area will be really, really good for longs. Yeah. Assuming we like lift a bit. But that's usually the area that you'd want to be looking for like future pivots. Preferably after the market left the area. Running into this guy who's got a lot of volume on it. Look at that big lift there. And then see, this move didn't have a lot of volume on it. See how gentle this was? And then this one was the big volume move. And they took that out with low volume. And now they're lifting with low volume. So I don't know if this is going to continue. Oh, they did. So they did retrace that pink bar. That's not necessarily good for my runners. Did they run into that other arrow? Yep. Shit. Yeah, I wasn't sure which one of those mattered more. Ugh, that's tough. Man, it's been the third time today. If this stops out, that I had a good trade at the but let runners take my money. Oh, that's irritating. And what I usually do is just quickly, anxiously exit too soon and then see it go 100 points without me. But rarely do they all stop the runners. Usually, I mean, all you need to do is catch one of those. You know what I mean? Like one 50-point trade would be great. But again, perhaps the moral of the story is don't hold runners counter trend trying to guess which one's the bottom, you know? I mean, you'll never catch the bottom, but at least you'll get paid for all the scalps. Because that's the problem. It's like I'm up $1,000 and then down 100, you know, because it's like giving back too much. Usually my problem is the opposite, that I don't have the vision that it could really go that far. But for some reason today, I've just been stubbornly expecting all of these trades to go a lot further than they really can. Although to be fair, this one hasn't stopped yet, so. But it's back. It's right back into that crucial area, and they didn't really leave the area at all. So, chances are it's going to stop. Purple bar. Technically, if this is a star, I could add. But then I'd have to take all of that add in 10 to 15 points is what I learned earlier today. And that's usually a good idea. No dominant wave over here, right? Oh, well, this one was. Into the low. We broke above that. Should be bullish. They might just be playing down here. I almost think this is going higher. They've had a divergent wave down at the low. Purple bars at the low. I think the pink bars at the low is what's causing this to retrace. They need a nice, strong, non-pink bar here, like a star. Honestly, that's probably an ad if they do it. But I don't know if they can. They may not have the... There just hasn't been a lot of follow-through on the buy side at all. And all morning, all it was is selling. So there's obviously some trap buyers up there. I thought we could give back at least 50 points. But if that seller's not done, he's not done. You know, he might just be putting on the brakes here. But you'd think then he'd get active up at like 11,450, 11,460. You wouldn't think he'd get right back in at it. I wouldn't think so. But yeah, the fact that he just can't lift it here is not a good sign. The price action reminds me of Globex. Like, it feels like I'm trading Asia. It's like, it's just not moving. It's taking like 10 minutes to print a bar. And it makes me super anxious, you know? It's like, if you're going to stop me, just frickin' take it. It's got me doing like mental gymnastics, trying to like talk myself into holding this trade. Like, my trades are usually done in like a matter of like 2 minutes. And when it's taken 10 minutes for this one bar to print, it's just like, what the hell? It looked like they had a chance, but honestly, it's not looking. It's looking pretty bleak now. Still long though. Stops under low a day. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea if this is going to work. I'm definitely glad I got out of half of it.
Order canceled.
Damn. All right. They got me. That sucks. So, I wonder what they're going to do now. These, it's hard to hold the middle of the single prints. And that's kind of where we're sitting right now. So it may be smart just to wait until... Wow, these single prints are deep though. 11,340 or so is what I have. So that might be the problem. It's just, wow, it's like 100 points of single prints, more or less. And it's really hard to develop support in the middle of those. So we might just kind of be getting faked out. Because like structurally there's just nothing here to the left on the chart. So they're just playing games. It probably means we're going lower. But let's see. Maybe if we can trap someone down here, maybe we can take another stab at it, but yeah, losing those runners sucks. It doesn't create like a huge loss, but it's psychologically just so frustrating because it's like I had it but didn't get paid for it. Oh, here they come back again. So that's another trap. This is a dominant. No, it's not. I guess I could have taken that. I was not prepared to get right back in again. That was technically a long. Shit. I missed it. Still valid. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, wow.
Order filled.
Okay, I'm going to see. I got it a little cheaper. We'll see. No reason to have stop anywhere lower than a tick or two below low a day. It'll be a small stop if I take it. It's valid. Trap back in. Tempted just to take 10 points because the runners have not been working. But to be fair, all of the trades that I got the runners stopped, they did hit 10 points. And I did take half of the order off, half of the position off. So if I had a rule like if it's trending in one direction, that any counter trend trades need to be taken at 10 to 15 points, like, and no runners, I'd be having a pretty good day. And if I held the short runners, I'd be having a great day too. So, which I didn't because the shorts I had were deep towards the low a day earlier. Of course, that's nowhere near where the low a day really was, but I was less confident holding short runners into the low a day than I've been holding long runners that I got off of the low of day. But as we can see, none of those low of days actually held. So I might just be doing it backwards, and rather than trying to guess where the low is to hold runners, maybe instead just take the 10 to 15 points.
Order canceled.
There we go. Okay, got 10. At least that pays for that stop. That's good. So I guess just any sign of aggression, I just have to let it go is probably the way to think about it, rather than trying to push these trades in the opposite direction. Even though like this low looks really healthy. There's no pink bar, right? They got a volume shift up. They got a momentum shift. Like that all looks good. They got to drop back in. They'd have to leave behind this guy. They'd have to get higher than him. But maybe that's the way to play it. And then in balance, it might not make sense to hold runners at all. Unless you have like a specific target. Like a sensible target in balance that is like maybe 20 points away, maybe then. But I've gotten so many situations where I've taken all at 10 or 15 points and then seen it go 100 that I was just like, and especially like, yeah, just days like yesterday where you just get these huge ranges. It's I guess the thing to learn from it is that every day is not like FOMC day, you know? And so perhaps holding the runners should be reserved for big range days and trend days with the trend. That may be a winning strategy, because it's certainly frustrating giving back profits over and over again. No bearish bar yet, so really no reason to let this go. See if I can push it just a little further. If it can break this, then I don't know. It might actually go higher. But I'll get rid of it on the first sign of weakness, because I don't want to keep on giving away all the profits. Now watch though. I get rid of it, and then that's the low. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. It stopped out this guy, came back with a non-pink bar. That is a healthy low. I would not be shocked if that was a low a day. This one looked sketchy. This one looks better. It's a divergent low, no pink bars, volume shift up, momentum shift up. It looks good. And right underneath another low. That's usually how these work. And then they will often just V-bottom for a bit. And just break over this apex, make a higher low, and be gone. But it's a weird place to bounce, though. Structurally, it doesn't. I don't have a lot of reasons to think this should be the low, but price action wise, it does look like a healthier low than the last one. But there's not. The only reason to think this might be the low is that we've traded so deep, and they might just be giving it some rest. But it is kind of a weird place to bounce. They're struggling to get it through the zero line. That might be the end. This has to be bullish, otherwise I'm done. Really, really trying hard to not pussy out of trades, though. It's so easy just to be anxious, Like I get so like focused on results that I don't necessarily trade optimally. Yeah, this might be over. They should have pushed that. This should be going higher if it's good. I don't know. There we go. That's better. That's much better. Yeah, we're going to have to break this apex to have any chance of actually lifting here. But if we can, it could squeeze. And that'd be pretty cool. Where's the top of the single prints? I wonder if that's where we're headed. We might be going back to test the top of the single prints only to go lower. Oh, I guess technically there's a little break in the single prints until 11,380. Hmm. Maybe that is a reasonable bounce spot. Maybe this will be the low. Like they overlapped. They didn't put in a red 30-minute back then, but we had like a few wicks that overlapped, and so maybe they're gonna turn that into a little pivot. Hmm. This might actually be the low. Now I want to hold the runner. What the hell is wrong with me? I can't learn my lesson. I am such a stubborn student, you guys. It's not even funny. The only thing that I ever listen to is when I actually see the numbers, and I'm like, oh yeah. It's like my coach would be like, if you just did this, you'd be, you know, up here for the month or whatever. And it's like, what? And I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, and then I just decide, you know, let's see if he's right. And then I go back and I test it, and I like put in all the trades that I would have taken, and I change everything, and like he's totally right, and it's just like, oh, okay, I guess I have to change that. But it usually takes doing the math and seeing the numbers before I can even imagine that it might be a good idea to make an adjustment, which is sad, but just the way my brain works, I can't be told like don't do this. Like, that's not gonna work. Although at this point it should, because there's been plenty of things I've been doing wrong that I knew better. Okay, I guess I better let this go. Oh, it didn't close bearish. I don't want to see it give up that line. Yeah, definitely tough day. Um, but I'll take it. I mean, like I said, my frustration though is that I'm not benefiting. I'm not. The results are not as good as they should be because I've actually taken some pretty good trades, and I'm being a little stingy with the runners. So, but that's okay. I mean, it's I just have to learn from it, you know. As long as at least I didn't take a huge hit. Like I did get paid each and every one of those, but it just giving so many potential profits back is like a learning experience for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and ditch this.
Order filled.
I'm happy with that. That's fine. Let me take a quick restroom break. I can grab some water. This is probably going to lift now that I let it go. So if you are long, I recommend holding. No, I'll be right back, you guys. Like I said, I couldn't stand giving up another set of runners. It was just not enough. Yeah, I didn't want to live. I didn't want to hold through any more aggression. But let me take a quick break. I will be back in like less than 2 minutes. Hold on. All right. I'm back. I'm feeling good about that exit. I think it was the right thing to do. Like I said, it could be the low. I don't know. But I'm done giving up profits. These black dots tend to be really good resistance. So never a bad idea to get out when you run into the range of those. It's not always the high, but it'll often hold, at least for the first test. Sometimes more than that. It also makes some really good entries. Getting behind them and then recapturing that range is actually one of the best trades. I'll show you. I didn't do it there, but we'll find a spot where it did. Hold on, I'm getting. All right, so yeah, there's not really a whole lot from. Oh, was that a dominant wave? No, I don't think it is. Yeah, it is. I usually look back to the previous two. So, yeah, so dominant wave up. So the chances are this low will probably hold. Probably. And so 2-bar combos like purple bar, green bar, purple bar star, purple bar diamond, things like that will start to work to the long side after you get that dominant wave up. Yeah, that was a good trade. See how they couldn't get the volume zone oscillator below the green? That's generally, especially when you were below the green and then they come up over the zero line, then they dip and they can't get it under there. That's usually a good place to get long, right there. And you can see if you skipped this one like that, you'd miss all of this, you know. And so it's sometimes it's not a bad idea to wait for that low. See how it's divergent, and it's inside the green. That's your best case scenario. So that's why I kind of had to take it. Like I didn't catch it right away. I needed to wait for the dip, but since I took this one and held a runner that stopped, I had to take this one because this one looked better. I'd be kind of impressed if they took that low out. Honestly, I think it looks really healthy. My guess is it actually holds. But yeah, these dots are strong. Especially when they have stars on them. The dot with the stars is a pretty strong signal. It's basically just like a trapped buyer. More or less. And so they usually hold on the retest. See that? Wow, so this one they broke through and it didn't do anything. Yet this one they couldn't break. I wonder why that is. Why this one mattered and not this one. Because those are, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's on a smaller time frame. That's concerning. So here's another one. Blue arrow on a down bar. See how they act as resistance? Man, I missed that too. See, and here's the dot with the star, and see how that acts as resistance? You know, they're pretty reliable. You have to get behind them to really shift the market. Let me find, the green is on the other side. We won't see a lot of those because it's a down day. But here, see, okay, so see how we print the black dot and then we get behind him and immediately come back down with a star. This one had another black dot, but this is a really good short. That's like one of the best shorts. And in here too, black dot, got behind him, reclaimed the black dot, boom. Black dot, see this looked like they got behind him and then they reclaimed the range. A lot lower. So green, get behind him, reclaim the range, goes higher. That's how those work. And so I mark them with these, this one's bold, with these rectangles to help me see them. Some of these are old, in which case I can get rid of them. Yeah, these are all old. And so is this. So here is another black dot at the edge. Very common to see that. The edges have the black dots. But then look, sometimes if you're counter trend, sometimes they don't immediately work. But once you reclaim this range, which is why I mark them like this, once you reclaim this range, it's good to go higher. So you got behind it, but once you reclaim the range, now you can go higher. Right? Black dot, get behind it, go lower. Black dot, get behind it. That one didn't work very well. And then once you leave them behind and then you use them as support like this, usually you get a bounce. So like black dots at the lows that you get above, that can be a really good trap. These are all bold now. Black dot at the edge, get behind them, reclaim the range, go lower. See, and then the green one, you got behind them and they tried and it failed. But then you reclaim this range and it can go higher now. So it looks like it works better with the trend than against it. Okay, anyway. Definitely glad I sold that. That worked out. That worked out. Because now I would have, like, it would have been at break even. I would have felt shitty. Like, having to let it go at break even is always, that's, like, I hate that. I hate getting rid of my trade at break even. So, I think I did the right thing. Well, like I said, I think that should be my norm when trading counter trend. I can't be guessing the low. My norm should be, if I see a counter trend move, I should be taking it as a scalp. And, you know, if it's the low, maybe it'll set up again. Because it's just, it's too frustrating not having positive results when you make all the right decisions. Like, I'm being patient, I'm getting into trades that work, they're paying me 10 to 15 points, and yet I'm giving away, like, half the profits because of holding runners. So glad I let that one go. So you would think reclaiming this, they should bounce it here in this general area. This is where the bulls would need to hold. This guy got traded behind, and then they left this one behind. See that? They got the yellow line above it, which is where all the volume is. Oh, speaking of which, where's the volume at the low? They got above that. Oh, the volume off the lows at the high, so this might not bounce. So they put a bunch of volume in up here. And then got under it. So maybe it won't hold. See the dash line, that's where the volume is. And so it was nice and low, but then it shifted up, and that's exactly when they reversed. It's like they were waiting for the aggressive trader to come in, and then once he did, they're just like, see ya. And they got the momentum shift on a lower high, and that's usually good to go. Yeah. And that's when I let go. I let go the long when I saw that bar. Because it's a sign of aggression plus a momentum shift. And in a downtrend, that's usually a short. Like, you could basically short any yellow arrow and be pretty good on a day like this. See, look. Good. Now, this one did not work. This one was way too low. Like, that one could have gotten trapped, actually. I'm sort of surprised that didn't become a trap. But see how the blue ones are not necessarily all longs. But the yellow arrows like this should work as a short. I'm really actually surprised. I didn't notice this before. This was so low. They traded above it. They traded back into it and bounced. I'm really surprised this didn't hold. Unusual. Did we have a bond auction just now? I just realized, I think there was a bond auction today. Uh, Let me check. That can shift things a bit. Hmm. Oh shit! Look at that. Aggression higher, right out of the zone. Hmm. If this was a purple bar, I'd say it's probably a good long. The location's right. But it's technically not enough. Yeah, I don't really have an entry. And I learned my lesson from being too aggressive earlier. I'm not gonna trade long off the 16 tick. Not on a day like today. But this, I mean, structurally, it's, oh, is it a head and shoulders? Oh, not quite. It's got to get under this and then close back in. I guess I'd take that. But this is usually how they hold a zone like this, is they dip back into it and then they bounce it. Tempting. It might work. If they can get it just a little bit lower and then bounce it again, I'll take it. It's got to get under this, and then reverse. And that way I know for sure this level's getting supported. We had divergence here, right? This is neutral. Neutral. Yeah, it might just get choppy. Definitely not the spot you want to be aggressive. Let's put it that way. So I will wait for the on process setup. The last thing I need to do right now is take off process trades. I need to stick with the trade plan. I need more than just structure and location. I need an actual execution. I mean, otherwise, what's the point of using the algo? Like, why am I paying for the algo if I'm not gonna wait for it to set me up? You know. So I mean, the aggression's a good sign, but all by itself, it's not a trade entry. I need an actual. I need a pattern. So a purple bar before it, and then this is good, but all by itself, it's like it's just sort of a, oh, someone's buying there. It's not a reason enough to get involved. You can see the purple bar, green bar setup would have failed and then retraced. So like that's not a good sign either, because the actual patterns, the long setups on the 16 tick still aren't necessarily working. And so that's definitely got me cautious too, because I know when it's unidirectional, they will work. So it doesn't mean it can't go higher. It's just, I mean, technically this is pink bar, orange bar. That's a short, and that might fail too. So almost just stopped, but it's got to get over this. can really get long here is getting under this box and then retracing back into the box. The purple rectangle. That's really what I want. What sucks though is getting under this bar suggests that we're not going to go higher. So it's like I need that bar to get taken out to even have a chance of giving me a setup. But then I have to ask myself, do I really want to be getting long when this aggressive bar gets taken out? Maybe not. But technically that would be the first valid setup, would be a head and shoulders here. Otherwise, it would be a trap back in off the low. But by that point, this aggressive trader would be trapped, so that'd be the resistance. So then it's like, why even take the trade if I only have like 8 to 10 points to resistance? And then on the short side, I guess, if you want to think short, this was technically an entry when I got out of my long. But you really don't, I mean, you don't want to be getting short all the way down here. So to be short, you would need it to go higher and then do like pink bar, orange bar, or pink bar star, or one of these black dots up here. That would be the short. But on the candlestick chart, you can see that it's just relentless. You know, we have this big doji candle, and if so, and that the top of that is 11,444. If you can't get above that, like it's just not bullish. It's just ultra bearish. As long as you stay under that, it's just so hard to short into the low day. I mean, you can do it. It's just aggressive, because you can get squeezed pretty easily. We do have a voodoo range level here, so I mean it's not that it's impossible to bounce it. It's just, and it's down almost 4%. So, you know, it sort of makes sense that someone would try to turn it around, but I just don't see that. You know, you don't want to just guess, and I don't see any evidence yet that shorts have been trapped and that there's a buyer back in the market. But if they can defend this rectangle, that's actually that would be the first sign that maybe there is a buyer. But I need an actual pattern to get long though. I can't just say like, oh, if they hold this, it's long, so I'll just get long with them. You know, like no, I need to actually have a reason. They need to buy it, and I will follow them in. I'm not going to be the first one to buy it. Wow, pink bar, orange bar. So they're trying to shift it lower. Oh, there's the purple. That would be good. So if we got purple bar followed by star that trap back into this, that's great. That'd be an entry. I need it to go one more lower though. I'll try to pick off the bottom again. Although it's so close to the low day, it kind of sucks. Because your stop goes underneath whatever this bar closes at. So your stop would be like points above the low day, which is just like ick. Because that acts as kind of like a magnet. And it may be hard for buyers to really pile on here if we're this close to the low day without testing it again. They did not exit this rectangle, so it's not a long. I wish it was, but it's not. It's really close, but it didn't trade below. It's got to trade below this. Here, I'll put it on there. It's got to trade below that, and it did not. Yeah, I want them to. Damn. Fuckers. It's so close. Did it trap off of this one? I think it might have. Oh, it's like on the line. That's gross. On the 16 tick, it did trap below and trap back in, or trade below and trap back in. But I was supposed to take my entries off the 24 tick. Shoot. They might take it without me here. We'll see. Trying my best to stay on process, but that's really close. Because yeah, a bullish close here. Had they traded under that? Oh, and I got a green dot too. That's probably a long, you guys. It's within ticks of the. I needed the low to be down here. It missed it by 2 ticks. So, you know. Technically, I'm not supposed to take it, but super tempted. It did set up on the 16 tick, and that one would have already paid. But I skipped it because it missed that trap by like two or 3 ticks. Very curious to see if this works. I did not take it, but I would not be shocked if it rips here. And honestly, if it dips down here, it's probably not you probably could buy it just for like a scalp, because it'd be so cheap, you know. But these green dots often are the apex. Not always, but like the green and black dots will often be the apexes. They do work better with the trend. Giving it another chance here. It did come back into the potential entry. And also actually having 2 blue squares in a row like this is also pretty bullish. That's a pretty hard thing to do. It probably goes higher. Because it literally was within ticks of taking this out. Within ticks. So, and those head and shoulders can be really good. Right in that location too. I certainly would have taken it if it would have taken this out. It got so close but didn't do it that I was tempted just to take it anyway, but I'd hate to have to explain to my coach why I took a stop when it didn't actually trap. That would suck. So, and like I said, what's the point of using the algo if I'm not gonna actually base my trades off of the algo setups, you know? But like I said, I know how these work, and that's close enough that it probably does still work. I'd be relieved if it doesn't, I'll be honest. I'd be relieved. Because I really wanted to take that, even though it's not valid. But you gotta draw the line somewhere, right? Like, it's gotta be a black and white line. Like, you can't, if you want to be a consistent trader, you need to know what is a setup and what's not a setup. And this technically is not a setup, but it's literally, but it was ticks away from being totally legitimate. So you need a line, but sometimes having that line is going to make you miss trades. But yeah, I had an intuition that this would probably work out just fine anyway. this pattern is pretty strong. But I needed it to get the high odds entry, I needed it to trade under here first. Damn. So that one would have gotten 10, yeah? Oh yeah. And then some. Shit. That's too bad. That's too bad. Okay, so right into the resistance with pink bars. It's probably done. Would really like it to come back now, please. Had I taken it, I'd be out. By the way, I would have just exited at that line, because that's getting pink bars into it is usually, well, I guess unless they don't retrace them. I suppose you could wait to make sure that they get retraced. If you want to be conservative, you just exit there. If you want to be aggressive, you put your stop above this, because once they get retraced, then it's like it's pretty neutral. But if you can keep pushing after a pink bar, it's actually pretty bullish, like without retracing them. But when you have two in a row like this, chances are they're going to retrace at least one of them. So if that one bar is going to give back most of your profits, which it would have in this case, I would just exit here and be happy with that. I mean, that's a 15-point trade. Like, that's good. Probably like 13, whatever. It depends on when you got in, I guess. But it would have been good enough. But it was not quite good enough for an entry. It might have stopped below that. It's on the line. That's technically not good enough. But I wonder with the green dot and the blue square, I wonder how often, especially when you have two of them in a row, I wonder how often that's a scalp. Like, see, blue, blue, and then it goes higher. That's really common. But I wonder if the green dot might make that significantly better. Like, where it might work almost anywhere. I don't know. It's just a scalp, but it usually does cause a lift. I'll have to look for that. I doubt it happens very often. So they try a momentum shift lower with volume. If they beat that, it's not bearish. Because you can see those should create down waves. See that? That's usually the apex. But and that's a trap back in for the short side. And it's trapping back into this too. This should go lower. Technically not a short though. Oh fuck! You bastards. I knew it. So this would never have stopped out had I held those runners. I knew it. The one time I decide not to hold runners is when they go, of course. Look at that. And squeeze. That almost looked like news, didn't it? That was like kind of all of a sudden. Shit. You bitches. Was that the bond auction? Like I said, I swear there was a bond auction today. I don't know what that was, but that looked like news to me. Like just one big old bullish candle. And that looked like it was done. God, I can't believe they missed that by a tick. 2 ticks. That sucks. Okay, we're back into the support. This should hold. Damn. I love how I adjusted just in time to miss the low. Perfect. Classic. I saw it coming too. I was like, I'm sure this is the low. It was, everything about it was good. Right at the voodoo range level. Look at this. Right there. Yeah, that's infuriating. I'm very curious about this pattern though. I wonder if that repeats itself. Well, now we're over this resistance, so I would think the shorts would start to fail now. Oh, this was that very low volume wave. That's concerning. There's no dominant wave here since this one off the low. That's weird. And really no dominant wave to the downside since this one to the low. So this is where all the volume was. So hold on, where was the volume? Hi, cat. That's right. And then up high. Yeah. So as long as, oh yeah, all right. So we might come back. Oh, we did already. We already bounced off that vol. Oh wow, they put in heavy volume into this micro composite VPOC and then ripped it higher. Wow. Come here. Come on. Okay. Well, I did have the long, and I got paid this time, but did not, yeah, I did not hold it. Held all the rest of the trades, but not this one. But I think the adjustment's right. It was just poor timing. I think not holding runners against the trend is probably a good general rule. Like I said, I knew that by having that rule that I would miss the opportunity to hold off the low. I knew that was the result. But I think I'm still just irritated that I held runners so many times earlier today. I was just being stubborn about it until I finally gave up on it here, and then they actually lifted it. But like I said, it should have set me up here, and then it wouldn't matter that I didn't hold the runners, because then I could get the higher low. Oh, I wonder if the green dot on the higher low, that in and of itself might have been good enough for a long. Cat, stop. Well, they clearly are not letting them take this back, because this should have been sold. That's a really powerful bar, and they're just ripping right through it, right? So most likely this is just going to squeeze. So don't short. Now that they're over this, I would not short. Because look, this guy, where's the guy who got stopped out? This one got an apex stopped out, right? And then they went higher. So now you could basically say, as long as they hold above this, right there, yeah, as long as they hold above that, it's not short. Now they do have resistance up here because there were so many opportunities where they tried to bounce it and they couldn't. So they might come back down. But if they don't, if this holds, or if they bounce it like here, like, do not short it. Because yeah, that guy got short, got stopped out, and then got left behind. And you could technically say the same thing about the long here. Got stopped out, got left behind. So it's going to be really hard to trade back into this range now. And yeah, I wonder if having the green dot there, I had a sense that it was probably a good long, but I didn't have the proven back-tested setup to use, and I wonder if that is reliable. Or maybe orange bar followed by green dot might be reliable too. I don't think I see that very often either. With the squares, it seems like even if it's only one of them, that's actually pretty consistent. Like this one didn't go anywhere. Green, black, lower. Look at that. Is that what it is? Okay. Maybe that's it. Because that certainly does not happen very often. They don't show up very often, but when they do... Yeah, so you can't just buy them when they're green. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. But when they have a star, it's usually good. Like this one didn't go very far. And then when you trap back into them, that's good too. Yeah, with the boxes, they seem to work. So maybe both of those cases are good, and in that case, that was definitely a long. I'll have to watch for that. Yeah, because look, green, blue, box, and it goes higher. Sorry for the fighter jets. They've been really noisy lately. I live right near an Air Force base, so it's just, you get used to it, but I forget that other people don't. And they are kind of loud. Actually, they're very loud. But I'm glad they're up there flying them, though. That's better than them than me. Green dot lower. Wow. Green dot lower. Orange that is a dot went lower. Yeah, maybe that is a thing. I'll keep looking for it. That's maybe that was a valid entry. Orange, green dot higher, and then possibly green dot with a blue square makes it higher too. I know the double blue does work as a scalp, and they did have that. I guess I could have just taken it because of that. What did it look like on the 16 tick? It was... Right, it was the blue square, and I said that one in and of itself was a trap. And that, yeah, that would have been a good one to take, I guess. I wonder how often the traps that have blue squares on it are good. Because this one worked too, for a scalp. Because those should be pretty hard to print. And it's usually a sign of momentum. But you can see you can't just buy every one, otherwise you'll get stopped out. But if it's a trap, it might be good. Oh, that's interesting. They got triangle up, star, and now they're selling. They've reclaimed this guy who put a lot of energy in back here, shifting volume down, and they popped and are trying to drop. See, all of this work, look how little energy has really been produced. See how like this barely made it over the zero line and then immediately rejected? That actually does not look bullish. This indicator does not look bullish. And the MACD histogram, it did get up into the overbought area, but then it immediately rejected the zero line. So in other words, they're going to have to bounce it here, otherwise it's going to go red again. And you can see if it goes red significantly, it starts getting trend down, and then you'd have to wait for a divergent low before you'd want to buy. Like when it's up here, you can buy higher lows, but you don't do that when it's doing this. You want a divergent low. And then here you could buy this one's a great divergent low because it's right at the zero line. But like this would be a higher low. But it's okay because it's green. Oh, and look, underneath, I think I showed this already. When you get down to you can't break the green, that's good. And that's exactly what happened here. You dipped and you couldn't break the outside the green. That's usually a scalp in and of itself. Oh, they're going to try to bounce it here. That's early. I thought they would take it lower. I thought they were going to go back into that purple zone, honestly. Looks like they're trying to take it right here. So that's a higher low with the volume and the volume shift. High volume, volume shift. Like if it's bullish, that should work. But it's on a 16 tick, so they might have to trade under it first. But maybe we are trying to bounce here. I'd get in trouble for trading off the 16 tick though. That's I'm not supposed to do that. It's just not reliable enough in and of itself. Like it's helpful, but only for signaling, not necessarily for triggering. And this was not a dominant wave up. If anything, it's a dominant wave down actually. 1, 2. No, it's not a dominant wave down either. So it's just choppy. Low volume chop. The worst. That sucks though, because had I gotten this trade, I'd actually be in pretty good shape. So it's like, even with all those hits and misses, like trying to hold those runners that didn't work out, since those were such small stops on smaller size, like it didn't cost me very much, but I still need like a decent pop or drop, like something. I need a 10 to 15 point trade to bring me back up to like where my where my high water mark was on the day. Because I had opportunities to sell those half size runners. I had opportunities to sell them for 10 to 15 points, if not more. So it would only take, I think it happened 3 times. So it would only take, on a 2 contract trade, it would only take like a 20 point gain to make up for all those. So it's not a huge loss, but it's still frustrating. And then when you miss the trade, or when from my point of view, it didn't trigger, although it might have, but not for a trade that I was aware of, not for the trade I was looking for. Then you're also missing out on the move. That does not make it any easier. So see how they traded under them and then they bounced? That's usually bullish. The pink diamond, they trade behind it and they come back. So this one is probably a buy. Oh wow, pink diamond here too. But yeah, that right there is probably a buy. If you're trading the 16 tick, it's usually going to pop there because they traded behind the pink bar and then the pink diamond, and then they reclaimed it. That's usually a sign that they're going with the volume. But now we have a pink bar here too, or a pink diamond here too, so it could go lower and then bounce. But look, they're bouncing right off that level. That old resistance, new support, possibly. But if this dips significantly in here, I might just pick it up with a stop just a little bit below. They probably won't because that's what I want, so it probably just rockets. But again, once again, the 16 tick did set up. So, and it's working. And that's I'm not pointing that out to show that you should be trading off the 16 tick. I'm just saying when the longs are working on the 16 tick, and look, the short didn't work, right? This one did. but this one didn't. So it suggests that the bulls may have gained some control here. Yeah, but this technically is not a setup unless it's really bullish. If it's really, really bullish, you can take the diamonds all by themselves. I did not read this as super bullish. This just kind of looks neutral to me. Looks like you could have gotten 10 points on it, though. But yeah, what you really want for these pink diamonds is for it to trade behind it and then reclaim the range. That's ideal. But as you can see here, sometimes this is the inverse. Sometimes they just, if there's enough momentum on a lower high, they'll just drop it. But see this one, it didn't work at first, but then you trade behind it and reclaim it, and then you bounce. So this is the better entry when you see this pink. You really prefer it get taken out and then come back. But if it's too bullish, they'll just go. Because it's a sign of aggressive buy volume there. And if it's bullish, that's a sign of continuation. And it looks like it is bullish. So we are making some progress here. We've almost traveled a whole VR. More or less have, actually, from the low. So somewhere around here, they're gonna try to stop them. You'd think. But yeah, that would have been pretty aggressive. It's not much of a pullback. You would have had to really think it was bullish. I didn't have that read. I thought this looked neutral. Oh, there's another short on the 16 tick. The dot, black dot with a star, and you'd think that would work if it's bearish. Like, I don't even mind taking that, actually. I might actually just take it. Let's fucking do it.
Order filled.
It'll probably stop. So if it does, it'd be a small stop, assuming I can get in here and put my freaking stop in. 79. They might get me. So there's really no reason to have a stop any higher than like 80. Wow, I'm lagging big time. Maybe even 79. But like I said, I expect them to try to fight it here. And that's a very difficult bar to break. If they do break it, it's clearly bullish. And it is on the 16 tick, so it's risky. But it'd be a small. The bars are so small that the stop is not as, like, max, it's like a 10-point stop rather than like 16. So it's not half the size, but it's smaller than a full size stop. But with all of these signs together, this is usually an apex. The problem is it's a 16 tick. So win rate's lower. It's easier to fire on a smaller tick chart. But the location makes sense for 1 VR from the low. We got this higher low that they really want to trade under. I'm not going to target the low a day or anything. I just want 10 to 15 points. I might not get it. They're not letting it go. It looks like they're going to stop me. That sucks. Damn. That's what I get for trading off the 16 tick. It did not set up on the 24. Shit.
Order canceled.
That sucks. That one's going to suck. to have to explain because I'm not supposed to do that. That might not have been so smart. But I've seen those work so often. I guess the better trade is to wait for it to get trapped back in. And if it's bullish, I guess it might not be that reliable. It's a new signal, so I'm trying to learn it. But I've seen it beat apexes so often. Yeah, but I think momentum has been confirmed bullish here for the time being. So even though it's at the high, it may not be reliable enough. I wonder how often that would stop on the 24 tick. I'm not actually sure about that. Wow. Okay, so there's the VR level. And nope, they're not stopping. Well, at least I had a tight stop. So I guess this was a good entry. 2 of them that I missed. And then I took the opposite direction. That's too bad. But yeah, I will say PA has changed significantly. We're gaining some speed. We're just kind of V'ing up, right? Like it's changed character significantly. Well, potential resistance up here from before. This one seems beat, honestly. But yeah, I'm pretty sure getting behind one of these black dots probably means that shorting's a bad idea. I don't think we've seen that pretty much all day. But we did definitely see green ones getting beat. But that's why I took the shorts, because I thought those have been working all day long. Yeah, see no black dots at the lows. But I don't think they've stopped one out till now. They're all apexes. I mean, if they do stop them out, it's for like 2 points. And then they come right back at it. But to actually leave it like that, leave it behind like that, is pretty rare. But I suppose the better play is probably to wait for the trap back in. They're going to try to reclaim it here. Big volume on the top. That's interesting. Usually that's not a good sign counter trend. Usually they'll beat that. Purple bar. If they give star here, it's technically a long. Star up. Or green bar up. It would be very dangerous because you're so high, but I mean, it's like, it's been working. It's just not much of a retrace. That is a dominant wave though. So purple bar star on 24 tick should work too. This is the first reasonable resistance on the chart though.
Order filled.
Oh shit, that's not a star. I think I have to get rid of that. That's too bad. That's actually not a star. I thought it was going to be a star. It didn't print a star. Let's get out.
Order canceled.
I took a small win.
Order filled.
There we go. Took a small win on that one on accident. I thought this was going to be a star and it didn't print. I guess I could have held it. But purple bar followed by pretty much any sign of aggression here is good. So I put a buy order there and it filled me, but then I looked back and I was like, shit, that's not a star or anything. It didn't print. The algo didn't print, so I had to quick jump out of it for a win. But it's not it's not a valid signal if there's nothing there. So, but it did create an extension still, interestingly. So yeah, it looks like once you know the direction, the 16 tick, it works pretty well, as long as you're not going to fight that. direction. That's good to know. So this is a divergent high. See that? Divergent high, right? It's not on the volume oscillator here, but oh, this one actually got way high up. So that makes this level important here. That becomes a key spot for shorts to take back, because the volume zone oscillator got peaked there. So if they can get under it, it becomes resistance, more or less. But also if they get under it and then back over it, then it can become support. But usually to activate it, you kind of have to trade on both sides. So we'll see. But that divergence is not, that's a sign to stop like being aggressive. Like I shouldn't take purple bar star or like green dots or anything like that. Like I need to back off on the long and assume that they're going to try to at least make this rest a bit. It may not reverse, but it probably needs some rest. Ah, see, that's a good short here. Fuck, I missed it. But see how we traded behind the pink or the purple and then came back in? That's a good short. Especially with the divergence. This one makes sense. It's a short. I just missed it. But let's see, because that's technically counter trend, and like I said, on the 16 tick, I don't know how often the counter trend moves actually work. But I know on the 24 tick that works often. So let's see if any of these, it's possible the reversals just don't work that often on the 16 tick. It's totally possible. So purple bar followed by green bar. If it's bullish, that should give us a lift. But with the divergence, I didn't take it. Doesn't mean it's always going to fail, but your failure rate increases with that divergence. But notice here we did definitely have a dominant wave up. So usually the 2-bar combos will work after that. It's just that we also have divergence. So it's kind of like competing information. And then we definitely had it set up short here on the 16 tick. So, and actually that's, yeah, this is the range that you'd want to short if you were bearish. I don't know how bearish it is. Because there was no buying all morning long. And then all of a sudden it looked like a news event. Maybe it was the bond auction. But something changed the price action significantly. I don't see anything. Nothing real obvious anyway. They just flipped it. And purple bar, green bar appears to be working. Okay. It did have a dominant wave. This trap back in is technically working too. But they have not yet gotten a new high, so that's where the divergence usually comes in, is it makes this high much harder to break, which means that this short is still active. So you could technically short on this retrace with a very small stop. Tempting. It's like a 6-point stop, you know? It's not bad. Now it's like a 3-point stop. Now it looks like it's going to stop. Nope. Not yet. Wow. Could have gotten it for 3-point risk. Shoot. I did not take it. Wow. Wow, another one. Same signal. All the way down here. But notice the sellers just have no momentum, right? Like they put in these big, aggressive, high volume bars and they're just like, nope. So they make sure that the trigger comes in and then they just rip it apart. It's exactly the opposite of what we saw this morning. Wow, here's another one of those dots. This one's not at the high though. I'm not sure how reliable that would be, but it's got the star. I got burned trying that here, but it was on the 16 tick. So this is actually on the 24. Selling here makes sense though, with like 3 points of risk. That would be smart. But I skipped it. Curious to see what happens to this guy, because they usually produce an extension. It's just doing nothing now. Now it's just stalled. Yeah, that short's looking pretty good right now. I almost took it, but I'd taken a loss trading the 16 tick, and I'm just like, oh, I can't do another one. But it was on 3 points of risk, so I mean, that'd be like a 10-to-1 trade. So if I'm gonna take one, that's probably I should probably do it on a retrace like that. And we had the divergence, everything was there. Whereas this one we did not. It was just a 1-bar signal on the 16 tick. Probably not good enough. And counter trend, I might add. So that was sloppy. But I think if I'm going to take a risk, I should take it here. So back into this higher time frame support. Purple bar. They got underneath the neutral zone on the volume zone oscillator. That's not good. Not on this one though. Not on the 24 tick. No dominant sell wave. Definitely only a dominant buy wave. So technically long should work. So bouncing here would be a hidden divergence, bullish hidden divergence. And so getting like a purple bar followed by a green bar, purple bar followed by a star would be pretty good. But we're trading under one of those, and that sometimes is a problem. These become resistance once broken down. So So no purple bar, but this is probably going to be a star, and that's probably good enough because it's right at location. It's probably good enough if it signals long. I'd prefer it has high volume though. So like a green bar here or a star up would be good. Usually good enough. Okay.
Order filled.
Oh damn, that was a bad fill. I'm just slow. So I did take the long. The location's right. Sign of aggression after breaking higher highs. And then it's also hidden bullish divergence with a lower low on the indicator but a higher low on price. It's a little aggressive because there's no purple bar behind it, but 60% of the time it's going to work. The better trade would be getting underneath this, but you're not always going to get the best high odds entry. You're going to have to eventually decide which aggressive entries you're going to take, because otherwise you'll just be sitting here all day doing nothing. Okay, think I might actually add to this because I got such a bad fill.
Order filled.
All right. And then I'm just going to move both of the stops. I just added to it because my fill is so bad.
Order filled.
Cut. And it stopped. Damn. How did that happen? Oh, I see. It did stop. Well, that sucks. Well, I had to give it a try, I guess. My fill was so bad on there that I thought maybe I could put the stop in the same spot, add at the low, near the low, and that way I could take some off if I got back to my original entry. But it filled me and then stopped. So that's the risk, right? Like that is the risk to doing that. But that's okay. It's yeah, that's the risk to doing that. That's all I'll say. Okay, now we got the purple bar. So another green bar or a star up, you could try it again. Like I didn't take a full two trade loss there. Keep in mind, I bought near the near my stop.
Order
Oh
filled.
shit, that was early. That was a bad execution. Let's hope this fills correctly. I accidentally misclicked. I was trying to set up my order and instead it just fired. I clicked it on accident. Like, whereas I meant to put my order up there, and instead I clicked market buy. If you click on, I'm using the rhythmic dumb, and if you click on the actual like green area, it becomes okay, good, it fired anyway. It becomes a market buy, but if you click on the price, it's a stop market at that price. And so I was trying to click on it to be a stop market when that bar closed, but instead I clicked right next to that, which is a market buy, and it hadn't actually closed yet. So that would have been a execution error had that immediately stopped out. That would have sucked. So let's see if I can get that stop back here. Hopefully. That would be nice.
Order canceled.
All right, good. Made my 10 points. Let's see if I can get just a little bit more. See, now it's trending bullish, so this is when it does make sense to hold runners, I would think. And we got that divergent low, that hidden divergence, so chances are we can probably take this high now. So like, you know, aiming for at least that high, I think makes sense, like 11,500 or something, maybe just below that if you're not confident. This is where it should make sense to hold runners. If you think that the direction is turned, and I'm not certain it has, but I think there's a chance that we're making higher highs and higher lows now, and then after one of these pullbacks, you get an extension higher. And if they do that, that'd be great because that would bring me back to high watermark. So I think. I don't know if I would make my goal for the day, but it certainly would make back, because I just took that other stop, so it might be just a little bit less than high watermark, but it would turn it into a decent day. But I mean, I'm looking for like basically 50 points here, so I don't know how often that works. But if this is some kind of a squeeze, I think that's reasonable. The problem would be if this 11,477 or whatever, if that acts as resistance, I may exit because that's quite common. I might not get a chance. I might just stop out the runners right here. See, they got pink bar diamond and pink bar yellow square down here, so that's looking actually bearish on the 16 tick. But it's the 16 tick. It signals all the time. It's not reliable counter trend. But the stop on the runners is the same spot as the stop was for the initially, so it's underneath this green bar. I don't trail my stop. Only way I can trail my stop is if we make another entry signal, then I can trail my stop underneath the new entry signal. It's just so common for them to go 10 points and then pull back into the entry and then go again that I can't trail my stop to break even. That's just, it's crazy bad trading NQ. It doesn't work. There we go. That's what we want to see. A little bit of impulsivity. Ugh, don't break it now. That looked good. That's exactly what we want to see, is this sudden bursts of buying. That's what's going to get us the 50-point extension. They got to break that red line, though. That's the most likely place where they're going to have resistance. If they can break that red line, they should get over the highs. The local high. Okay, here's the resistance. So they got to break this, and then it should be going to 11,500. Good chance this is hard to break. Go, go, go. Nice. Any chance we go higher than that? That's definitely the resistance. 508 maybe. I'm just trying to decide whether or not it makes sense to get out like here and then just let them fight 11,500, or do I just hold the runners as long as I can, you know, because it doesn't have to stop there. That might honestly be the better move, is just hold it. because they could just rip, you know. Pink bar, come on, rip it. If they can get through 11,500, we might have a nice little pop, like a little squeeze, you know. There's got to be stops up there, right? There's definitely liquidity up there. Like this is where it makes sense to hold runners, you know. Like this one, I think it was smart to hold runners. I did, but I don't think I needed to hold runners. Because remember, even the one I got at the low a day when I didn't hold runners, like I had another opportunity to get in there. It didn't trigger, but like there was a sensible place to get long again. So rather than, I really do think it makes sense to only take runners when the direction is clear and you're trading with the trend. Don't give up that red line. There we go. They got to keep up the buy-in here. So this is a high volume bar. That's probably going to get beat. This should go higher. There we go. Push. Ugh. Come on. There's gotta be liquidity up here. I hate the slow pace. No. Don't give up that red line. Fuck. They gotta immediately take that background out of this trade. See, it's acting as resistance. Damn. That sucks. I really wanted those runners to work. Push. They gotta push through this and break that guy. Go, 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 go. There we go. Oh, look, purple bar, pink diamond in the direction of the trend. Signals higher. I could technically put my stop right there. In fact, I think I'm going to do that. Let's put the stop at 72 and just call it a good trade if it gets me out there. Because I'm pretty sure that has to hold now. And that's a 10 point plus. That's like an 11 point gain. Okay. And we'll just keep trailing the stop like that. I didn't even think about doing it that way. Like trail the stop on the 16 tick. When the 16 tick triggers in the direction of the trend, that should work. You'd think. It would suck if they stop it out and then run, but I think it's worth a try. Wow, they're still flying them. Go! They gotta keep pushing. Not looking good. Come on, you guys. Another high volume on the downside. They have to do this. They have to bust this. That's a lot of volume. Someone's really protecting that 11,500. Shorts do not want to see that taken. They are trying really hard to hold it. Come on. Which means it could go to like 11,530, you know? That might be a little bit of a stretch, but 11,515, let's say, I think is totally reasonable up here. totally reasonable. I'd like to see what happens when they break these highs. Then I would feel confident letting go my runners. If we break those highs and like it goes like pink bar, star down, like I'd get rid of it. But I know there's liquidity up here at 11,500 to like 11,508. I know there's liquidity up there. So I'm going to leave my order at like 11,513 just in case they spike it hard. But I'm guessing I'm probably going to exit before that. But let's see. Because sometimes they just like, you know. So you don't want to be too quick to exit. But I also don't want to be like holding forever only to see it reverse. But I do think these highs get broken. I'm just not totally sure what happens after that because yeah, like they may have shorts trapped, in which case it could go a lot higher. But like, see the volume zone oscillator kind of like if it drops here, if it closes bullish, we should be fine. But if it starts chopping around up here, it may just get stuck. So they really do need to keep pushing. But if they can close this one bullish, then the next one should take out these highs. But they really do need some follow through here. Someone's definitely trying to protect that 11,500. They might trail me out. Had to give it a try though. It was worth a try. Darn. Yeah, that red line is decent resistance, it looks like. Oh, are they bouncing off it like new support? That'd be perfect. Come on, push. Not looking good. Looks like they're gonna trail me out. Still a 10-point gain, but ugh, yuck.
Order canceled.
They got me. All right. Still up, but ugh. That looked promising. I think that's an okay move. I mean, I still ended up getting 10 points on both of them. So that's the good news. I'm curious to see what happens here though, if they would have trailed me all the way out or not. Because it'd be nice if I could consistently trail the stop on the 16 tick. That would be pretty cool. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that would only work if you're trading with the trend, but assuming the trend is up for the time being, we'll see though. Because if they just rip it now, then I probably trailed my stop too early. Purple bar. Technically, a star here is a go. I'll be able to get into it again. Momentum shift. They might put a star here. This actually might be a long. They'd have to close it bullish. Maybe they just needed to fake everybody out and they'll run it here. It'd be 11,476.50. By that point, we'd know the bar closed bullish. Because you know that the bar will close at 11,476.25. So you can put your entry 1, tick above it, just to be sure that it actually trades through that level. And then if you don't, if it doesn't, like now it didn't trigger, so it doesn't, like you just cancel the order. It looks like they would have stopped me out even if I would have held my initial buy point. So at this point, it looks like I made a good move exiting at 10 points. still have not hit my daily goal. I would have. I definitely would have hit my daily goal if we would have gotten that 50-point run. But I took too many stops on runners today. So even with I mean, really, if I would have just taken 10 points on all those trades, I'd be up like 10, like a lot. But I tried over and over again to get the runners to stick, and then I stopped holding runners just as we hit the low day. And I didn't hold runners on the shorts, and that was the other mistake. So I think I have to adjust that. And I did, like I said before, I didn't hold the runners on the shorts because I was shorting into what was at the time the low of day, and that's always kind of nerve wracking. And so I usually just take a quick 10 points and feel good about getting out of that trade. But those trades actually paid out 30 plus points, and I only got 10 to 15. So on a trend day down, I need to adjust my trade management style. Okay, it doesn't look like it's going to set up here. Let me run to the restroom, guys. I need another drink too, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, and we did take out that low, so I guess that was a good move to trail that stop. That worked out. Now we're going to come back into this zone, and this is really, this one needs to hold for buyers to really have any chance here. What? What's your deal? Anyway, yeah, this needs to hold really, for the buyers to have a chance here. Otherwise, the low day is probably getting taken out. And that would be typical, honestly, for trending down, by the way. Like reversing for like an hour and then continuing in the direction of the trend is pretty much normal. Par for the course. Now, tomorrow is quad witching, so like it's maybe things will be a little different than usual because of that, but that would be pretty normal. Does not look like they're going to hold it. Oh, wait. Hold on. I haven't lost it yet. They are trying. What's up, cat? Come here. So we're back to slow grind again. Well, there's only 15 minutes left in the day. Probably not another trade. Likely not. We'll see where we close, but if I had to guess, I'd say this probably gets taken back. I mean, that low looked healthy, though, I have to admit. That low looked good. Doesn't mean it has to hold, but it did look good. Oh, maybe they will hold it. They got a volume shift on the 16 tick. This is going to be resistance now, this orange line. If you're just like a location trader, it makes sense to give it a go here. Because if they don't hold this, it's going to take the low, so. But I don't. We only saw buying for like this one period here. They're trying. They tried to trap a seller down here. Let's see if they stay trapped. Oh, maybe they will. I don't know what's wrong with the cat. I think he's just lonely. There's no, yeah, it's maybe a 3-bar combo, but that's it. It's got to close with the sign of aggression here. Let's see what it gives us. Or if it even closes bullish. Wow. Sellers are just relentless. Look how deep in the hole we are on the volume zone oscillator. If it goes bearish, it's, yeah, 1 bar up and it's used all that volume. Not looking good. Like this bar took a lot of energy to form. Yeah, that's not looking promising at all. For a second there, I thought we had the low in. Now I'm not so sure. Because that 11,500 should not have been that hard to take. And they just couldn't do it. Pretty sure it would have squeezed if we would have gotten up there. They'll probably do it overnight, honestly. I wouldn't be shocked if we open higher tomorrow. Oh, are they going to get it? Pink bar, that's a star. Oh, this is interesting. Purple bar, that's a star, followed by pink bar, that's a star. That's weird. Don't know if I don't see that very often. Not one right after the other. That's weird. Very weird. There's just been some really strange stuff today. Wow. They're not going to do it. Star, star, star. They are not going to do it. Look at that. Oh, they got it. They got it. But high volume, which is what I expected. I thought I saw that. So, unlikely to be the swing low. But the location's right. You had an opportunity to get it cheap on the pullback. And you could put your stop right there. But, I mean, there's just not a lot of time left in the day to let it do anything. And there's really no momentum to the upside. And if that's the case, then these diamonds usually get traded under. And I'd say momentum's to the downside. Look, dominant wave down into the low. Don't usually want to fight that. So that'd be a reason to skip the trade to the upside. It's really just a sign of aggression. There's not a whole lot else to this. If this was a purple bar, it'd be better. It might work though. Yeah, they had a volume shift, all these stars, and then they got over it, and then more stars. What's with all the stars in this area? Lots of aggressive trading. I wonder why it's so choppy. It's really unusual to see like stars in both directions all over the place like this. I don't, unless this was like VWAP or like the point of control or something like that. A place where like a lot of people trade. But look at all these stars. That's really weird. It's obviously an important zone. People are fighting over this really hard. I don't know. Maybe it is a good place to long. That's unusual. I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 if they close it lower. 7 stars within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 within 9 bars. Now 8 within 10 if they close this lower. That's really weird. Like you usually see 1 once in a while, sometimes 2. But not 8. this like consecutively. That's very strange. It suggests that they're fighting over this level really aggressively back and forth. So most likely whoever wins this battle will get an extension. So like if this prints, okay, so oh look, and they're potentially going to print another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 confirmed. So this whole area here becomes important. Those guys could get trapped. You'd have to get above this to get the last one. You could trap those down stars. That might make them vulnerable, having so many. Speed bar up, but it's pink. I don't think I'd want to. Maybe it's just, you know what, it is the end of the day. We're probably getting all the stars because it's the end of the day. That's what it is. It's because it's the last 10 minutes of the day. Sure, that makes sense. Lots of volume, of course. That's all that is. So I'm ending the day up $375, which is sad because at one point I was up like 1,100. So, yeah, kind of gross. I just gave up too many trades with runners. That's how it goes. It was a little bit too aggressive counter trend and not aggressive enough with the trend. So I did the opposite of what I was supposed to do. I knew we were trending down, and I was trying to find the low. And every time I thought I had it, I'd hold runners. And then I was too afraid to hold the short runners because it was like, oh, we're already down 2%. What's the chances they go 4%? And so I kind of talked myself out of the better trade management style, which is to hold runners in the direction of the trend. So I will have to fix that. Because I mean, while the results might not seem that bad, it's the problem is like I had a killer day had I just taken every trade at 10, like killer day. So it's not like I mean all the entries were fine. I still took some stops. I think I had like 2 stops, straight out stops. But then I just took so many runner stops, and they just eat away at my profits. And then all it took is those 2 full stops to basically bring me all the way back to zero. But thankfully, I got this lift that I got paid on both of them 10 points, and so I was able to eke out a gain. But it's like I said, it's frustrating seeing at one point that I'm up well past my daily goal, and that I didn't just take it because I thought I might have a low. Like I was basically swinging for home runs rather than singles, and I should know better than that, especially trading counter trend. I think what I'm gonna do is when we close, I'll probably close out the video, and then I'm gonna open a new one, and I want to look at the last day or two and see if I can figure out any more patterns with those dots, the new indicator. Because they, like I said, if they're going to stay on my chart, I want to know when to use them, and I haven't done a lot of work on them yet, so I might dig into that a little bit after the close. But I'll do it as a live stream in case anyone wants to see. But just give me like 15 minutes or so to break my fast, and then there's another one, green dot. Let's see what it does here. See, but it's not at the apex. It's like at a higher low. Oh, and it's orange bar followed by green dot. See, I think that might be good. I think that's a reliable signal. That's the second time we've seen that today. I think that might be good. Shit, that might be a good pattern. And it's got the blue dot too, the blue square. Let's see. Well, that's tempting. It's right at the end of the day. But it looks like it's gonna work. But yeah, I'd like to know how often that works so that I can confidently take them, because it seems like it works a lot. But I don't know which one it is. Does it have to have an orange bar before it? Does it have to have a blue square? Like I saw this exact same pattern work like 3 times today. And then what if you get like green bar, then triangle up, then the dot? Is that just as good, or does it have to be right behind it? You know, I don't know. I'd like to know. So, but it's got to be on. I got to base that on more than just one day. I'm gonna need to load up some more days and look in the past how often it works, and it's particularly like on different day types. Like today was a good like trend day down example, but like yesterday was like a volatile range day. So if it works the same way yesterday as it did today, that'd be a sign that it probably is relatively consistent. And then I'd like to know like how often it works on the small time frame, and if it works at all on the bigger time frame, because that would also be useful. But this one definitely worked. So that's what I'm going to look into. The only way to learn about these things, you guys, is just to study them. And the benefit of having the algo is that I can visually see it. I know exactly where the indicator goes off. So I might as well take advantage of that and actually learn what it means. Well, this one didn't give you much. That's pretty much the close right there. 20 seconds. Oh, held. Came back to it, bounced. Second entry opportunity. Right into that resistance though. That orange line. You need to break that. That's higher time frame. From like days ago. Oh. Look at that. Okay. Oh, so this one's the black dot with the yellow square, but no green bar here. And that one looks like it's gonna get ripped up. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna look into it. So if anyone's watching this and they want to see that, just follow me and you'll get a notification. It'll probably be about 15 minutes. I'll start a new stream. But for anybody who just wants to watch the research project and doesn't really care about the regular trading, I'll do it in a new stream so that it's easy to find on YouTube in the future. Because I know a lot of people don't get to watch these live, but they prefer to watch them in like 2 times speed, and that's cool. I don't mind at all. This one stopped out, so I don't think it's just the bar itself. I think it matters what came before the bar. We will see. We will see. So and this same exact signal stopped out. So I will be back in like 15 minutes. But just to show you what we did today, we basically dropped hard off the open. And then for like the next hour and a half, over lunch, we tried to bounce. And then we finally got the bounce later in the afternoon. And now we're trying to use this as support, bouncing off of it. And they're trying to retrace some of this. I don't, like, I've got the level here at 11,421 that we did bounce off of. But other than that, I really don't have anything other than this voodoo range level and then a fib here at 11,531.25, 11,531.25. So that's all I really have. That's the 50% down from the last orbit to this low here. But you can see like that, it's been a pretty good level. That's been a pretty stable fib. This one got some orbits too. Let's just see. What happens if I bring it down here? Oh, then I lose all those. Well, this one. Oh, that one might be good. Hold on, let me see. What's that? That is 801. 801 even. Oh yeah, look at that. Cool. And then there's one here too at this voodoo range level. Okay. What about from this peak? Oh, then I can't see that deep. Okay, so that's my best case scenario, I guess. Yeah, I guess I kind of have to use this one for now. Oh, unless I want to go really deep. Well, that's interesting. Look at that. Huh. Huh. Does it line up here? Yep. Yep. Okay, I'll leave that one. That looks pretty good. Look at that. I mean, that's a perfect touch. Okay. That's from today. The morning pullback. The 11 o'clock low. Before the pullback. And they dip, so this would be considered excess. And now they'll retrace back up. And so they'd probably take it back to at least 11,540, let's say. Okay. That's reasonable. But you keep in mind on the higher time frame, right? We've got these single prints they end all the way down here. And it's hard to find support inside of this. So I thought we were going to bounce here underneath this low. That's kind of where I thought we would bounce. and then it came all the way down underneath this into these single prints, and it got a little bit further and then found support at this fib, I guess. I don't know what the likelihood is that's actually the low, though. I don't know. Usually those single prints get retraced, but they are trying to push it into the after hours. A little bit surprising, but like tomorrow is quad witching, and so weird like phenomenon happen on quad witching days because of option expiration. So they may want to make sure that the people who bought puts at the lows don't get paid tomorrow. It might be that simple. All right, I will be back in like 15 minutes, guys.